I said, he saw that a long time ago. Of course, Gordon became, ambassador for Canada to London, etc. But this is really the way it functions. Now, the polls in Alberta are showing almost, more than a third, if not 40%, are in favor of separatists. That is overwhelming. What I asked the question, did the research, what percent of the American population were for revolution? At best, a third. You never see 50, 60%. You don't see it in all these revolutions. If they're violent or just a separation or something of that nature, the vast majority is silent, and they just go with the flow. I mean, everything. So you'll see American Revolution, French Revolution. That's the question for every one of these events. Back to ancient Roman times, you hear the Jews revolted against the Romans, and they lost the temple. How many zealots were there? Josephus tells 10,000. So you're not talking about millions of people. It's like 10,000 zealots basically caused the whole problem. Their temple was overthrown and sacked, etc., because they're the vocal ones. They even made a movie, Masada. I've been there, climbed up Masada just, to do it and came down or whatever, but it was harder coming down and going up, I can tell you that. But, a few thousand people, it couldn't have been 500,000 people up there. So it is a small minority. It's very interesting going through all these things from ancient times to modern times. It's never a majority.
So then Canadians who know their history in this regard are going to ask this question. So I'm going to ask you, when the Quebec referendum happened in 1995, the first polls, I think, was 39% were in favor. But that was a month before the referendum. And over the following month, it crept up and up and up, hit 47% about 2 days before. And then the day of the referendum, it was 49.4% voted in favor. It came within 55,000 votes of deciding to separate from Canada. Mm-hmm. Currently, here in Alberta, and I'm an Albertan myself, so I've been watching this closely. We started out with 30% a few months ago. Then it was 33%. The last one I saw was 36%. And so I think we can assume we're going to see the same pattern that as we get closer to an actual referendum, and the Alberta Prosperity Project already has twice the signatures they need to require a referendum, so it's going to happen. There will be one. And we'll probably see that number continue to creep upwards. So the question that people are going to ask is, okay, well, the numbers are pretty parallel right now. We've got Alberta starting right about where Quebec did, and Quebec went up, and Alberta's going up.